Welcome to Group 3's presentation of Chapter 23, Protecting the Deployment Pipeline. Michael, Robert, and Sam. Today what we're going to talk about integrating security and compliance into change approval process, recategorizing the majority of our lower risk changes and standard changes, what to do when changes are categorized as normal changes. I'm going to review a case study for Salesforce.com, and then talk about reduced reliance on separation of duty and ensuring documentation and proof for auditors and compliance officers. Integrating security and compliance into change approval process. Compliance and security managers rely on change management processes for compliance requirements. Evidence are required to demonstrate all changes have been appropriately authorized. Construct deployment pipeline to ensure deployments are low risk. To do this, we use reliance on automated testing and proactive production monitoring. Most changes will not require manual approval process. Integrate security and compliance into change approval process again. Effective change management policies recognize different risks associated with different types of changes. 3 categories define the ITIL: standard change, normal change, and urgent changes. Standard changes are lower risk changes that follow established and approval process. Normal changes, higher risk changes that require review or approval from change authority, and urgent changes. Potentially high risk emergency changes must go into production immediately. Urgent, these are things such as security patches or restored service. Recategorizing the majority of our lower risk changes as standard changes. Having a reliable deployment pipeline in place with a track record for fast, reliable, non-dramatic deployments will allow change authorities to categorize our changes as low risk standard changes. They deploy immediately, no need for further approval. Changes still need to be properly recorded. Proof changes are low risk, utilizing change logs, lists of production issues, and the ability to quickly detect or correct resulting problems. Provide visibility into changes made using change management systems. Link change requests records to specific items in work planning tools, and create traceability and content by integrating linking of user stories, requirements, or defects into version control commits by engineers. What to do when changes are categorized as normal changes. These are high-risk changes, require approval of change of authority. RFC request for change required for change advisory board, and quick deployments. Case study for Salesforce.com. Salesforce transformation was to make quality engineering everyone's job. Salesforce, they integrated automated testing. They had a continuous integration. They created open source tool Rouster. They performed destructive testing. Reduce reliance on separation of duty. Separation of duty can slow down or reduce feedback to engineers. Causes a decreased responsibility and organizational learning. Do not use separation of duty as a control to make sure people are doing things correctly. Use controls such as paired programming, continuous inspection, and code review in place of separation of duty. Ensure documentation of proof. With regards to auditors and regulators, it's very difficult for DevOps to, because of the flow, document everything. So what is needed is to create a framework that organizes traditional audit data from DevOps systems. You need to work with auditors to create an iterative approach, assigning a single control needed as audit evidence. Auditors are not engineers, and engineers are not regulation experts. So when you look for regulatory audit and compliance requirements, this will help you understand how things should be engineered, because then you'll know what they're looking for. Then what you do is create an auditing system around those regulations. Create a regular operation reviews to detect fraud. Conclusion. Changes are categorized into 3 risk categories: standard, normal, and urgent. reliable deployment pipeline, good track record, and visibility into changes made can convince change authorities to categorize our changes as standard and low risk. Safely deploy normal changes by following this process. Salesforce demonstrated how normal changes can be deployed safely and as standard changes. Separation of duty slows things down and reduces feedback cycles. DevOps creates a unique challenge for auditors and regulations, for audits and regulations, but when engineers and auditors work together, it is possible. Thank you very much for